Hello, Inspired Tribe. Welcome to the Inspired Livestream. It is Thursday, February 4th, 2021. And this is the day where if Christine asks the question, what day is it? Is it Friday tomorrow? She's going to be 100% right. It's going to be Friday tomorrow. We're healthy, we're wealthy, we're whole, and we're free. Expired tribe, inspired tribe. We are free. We're freedom, right? This, by the way, is one of Christine's wonderful designs that you can find in the Inspired merch store. It's my favorite hoodie. I think I've been wearing it like a lot. But we're healthy, wealthy, whole, and free. That's our mantra. That's the mantra of the Inspired Tribe. We're excited that you're here for the last live stream of this week. And today we're going to talk about what happens when you leave the matrix. It's this has been coming up in different forms lately. It's a very common theme, even if even if people can't put words to it. But first, let me welcome everyone here. Thanks for joining us. Please, as soon as you log on, as soon as you come on the live stream, let us know where you're tuning in from, who you are. You know, what part of the world, what part of the country. Please hit the like button. We're Jean and Kristin Nolan. Kristin is right there. You can't see her right now. And in the past, people thought that I'm imagining her, that she's just a vortex version. But she does exist. And the tribe, of course, knows this, but for all the new people, there's a number of live streams where Kristin is with us. She joins us every now and then in front of the camera when we do EUCY sessions or we do Center of the Circle. And, of course, in all the courses and all the other things that we do, we are always together in front of the camera. So, yes, Kristin does exist. She's not just the Vortex version. So, tribe. I want to welcome, look, there's Sandra Henninen from Finland.
Cool.
Welcome. That's awesome. I just wanted to say we have a very spread out tribe all over the planet, which makes our hearts happy and, makes us enjoy this because there's so much beautiful energy that we're connecting all around the planet. This is wonderful. So welcome to all our regular tribesters and welcome to all the new tribesters. Let's dive into today's topic. And first of all, I don't know if everyone is really familiar with the term matrix. I mean, it's very common now, but what does it mean? Where does it come from? And most people, for the first time, heard about the Matrix when the famous Hollywood movie came out about 22 years ago now. I think it was 1999. Yeah, something like that. And I just want to give you a quick overview of what that movie was about. So we can dive into the topic better. The premise was that there was this computer programmer by day, Mr. Anderson, and by night he was a hacker. And he was haunted by the feeling that somehow everything that he experienced day in, day out somehow didn't really feel real to him. Something was wrong, and he just couldn't put his finger on it, but he kept searching and searching, and eventually he was invited by another hacker to follow them and meet with someone, a notorious figure called Morpheus. And Morpheus gave Mr. Anderson the choice between the red pill and the blue pill. That's where the famous line, being red pilled, comes from. And he said, well, if you take the red pill, you're going to go down the rabbit hole, and it goes really deep, and you will see how this all really works, what reality really is, and what the Matrix is. And the blue pill meant you're just going to go back to sleep the way you were. You're not going to remember this, and everything's going to keep on going like it did. And he chose the red pill and eventually discovered that the Matrix was the reality around him that was basically a sophisticated computer program, and that the real world was something completely different, and that this was just a projected computer created digital reality that he was living in. And then he basically through this whole journey learned how to exit and enter the Matrix. But not just that, he discovered who he really was, because once he once he removed himself from the matrix, his true purpose began to shine, and he realized that he was Neo. Really, that was his new name. And so then the story unfolds. It's very it's a trilogy, the Matrix movies, and I still believe the first one is the best one. But go go watch them, look them up, watch them. They are, of course, they're Hollywood action movies. There's everything that you would expect from that, but it's also really, really, really eye-opening. And there's been a meme going around for years now that The Matrix was not a movie; it was a documentary. And people say this because more and more millions and millions and millions and millions, hundreds of millions of people are discovering that the reality around us, the things that we see in our society, the things that we see in our systems aren't really real. And so that's the first step, and that's the big, huge mass awakening that's happening. And I just want to dive a little bit into that before we ask the question, what happens when you actually leave the matrix? Because that, by far, is the most interesting question. And I can tell you, we left the matrix a long time ago, and it continues to blow our minds what happens when you live in a different way, when you realize what this is really about. So stick with us. But let me just jump into the idea of how this matrix idea applies to our reality. And I always make a distinction between the planet Earth, the natural being, and the world being the human created systems. And I'll tell you a really simple example of how we have bought into a matrix that really isn't real. For example, the monetary systems that we live under, or we live with right now, still do. Let's take, and this is the same for the euro, for the dollar, and for 97% of the countries on the planet. Let's take the dollar, for example. And you have heard this. If you are an adult, and if you have ever watched the news, you've ever read a newspaper, you have heard this before. We are in a debt crisis. We have too much debt. Countries have too much debt. They're highly indebted, and that's a debt crunch. And how are we ever going to repay all that debt, and all of that discussion? And basically, for the last 10, 15 years, this has been really dominating the news cycles, because there's a debt crisis there and debt crisis there, and countries running out of money and not being able to borrow more money. And basically, the whole system is built around the idea that eventually countries are going to be able to repay their debts and whatnot. And so the discussion is in a completely artificial field, and I'm going to tell you why. We have a debt-based monetary system. It's so bizarre. Most people don't know about it, but the people who do, when they first hear about it, they can't believe it. When they start believing it, they realize that everything that's based on that monetary system is fake. It's a complete fraud. It's the matrix. And so the way money works, the way money gets into circulation, is in this country, in the United States, the Federal Reserve Bank, which is not a government entity, it's a conglomerate of private banks. The way to get money into circulation is that somebody needs to borrow it. Money only gets into circulation through credit. That's the only way it can happen. So basically, the United States government needs to borrow its own currency from the Federal Reserve Bank, and that's how it gets into circulation. What happens when you borrow money? There's interest, right? So if you play this all the way through, first you must ask yourself, why do we even have to borrow the money in the first place? Why can't a government issue non-debt currency? But okay, now we have a debt-based currency, which means in turn that every dollar in circulation is debt. It's credit. It's nothing but credit. If we were to repay all the debt, there would be no money left, because all money would return to the Federal Reserve. No money left. What would be left is still interest that's left to pay. So all these discussions about we can't borrow more money and we can't go into deeper debt and we will never be able to repay that debt, and all the economists on TV, all that, it's all complete fake. because it's a debt-based system. So we will only get more money into the system if we create more debt. That's the only way how this system works. Now you can go and look it up and realize this for yourself, because once you realize this, you will see that everything you believed about money was fake. That's part of the matrix. That's part of the fake reality. And once you go through the fields, all areas of our human society, you will realize that science, for the most part, is a matrix. It's built on a premise, and it's perverted, and it doesn't reflect truth anymore. It isn't about what it says it is. If you look at medicine, it's the same way. If you look at religion, in so many ways, it's the same way. If you look at our food, it's all artificial. It is a matrix, okay? And what that means is that once you begin to awaken to that, at first there is anger, because you're thinking, how can this be possible? How can every single system be fake? But once you overcome that anger, once you look at those things and you realize, no, this is not really good for us humans. This is not what we really desire. There comes a moment in time, and this is always the same journey. Once people start realizing how fake these systems are, how fake the political system is, how fake these systems are, they say, well, what's the alternative? And little by little, people become more courageous, and they start to not participate in certain things anymore. Because once you know the truth, once you feel that something's not authentic, it's hard to participate in it if you are authentic. If you feel who you are, you cannot participate in something that is fake, that is fraudulent, that has no real meaning to it. And so, little by little, people decide that I can't do this anymore. Now that I understand how this really works, I don't know if I can do my job. I need to switch jobs. And now that I understand, how this works, I can't really eat that stuff anymore, because I know it's not natural, it's not good, it's not nutritious. And then little by little, people begin to withdraw from that fake reality and begin to search and look for what is really real. And we always say this: you can find what is real in nature, what's authentic, what are natural processes, not in the micromanaged nature that we have in urban areas. We're talking about the woods, the forests out there. Those are the natural processes. Does this mean that everyone needs to move out into the country and no one can ever stay in urban areas anymore? No, not by a long shot. But this is where you begin to reharmonize with a more natural way of living. And what happens socially? What happens with your families? What happens with your friendships? What happens with your acquaintances? What happens with your hobbies? All of those things, when you begin leaving the matrix, that's the part that we want to talk about here a little more today, because this is something that is frightening for a lot of people. And we have seen this over and over again. People begin to realize how this works. People begin to awaken to the truth, and they learn that there is a greater, better, more wonderful world out there. And as they begin to explore and express themselves, and as they begin to be more authentic about what they feel, and as they begin to speak up about what they have learned, their friends, their families look at them and they say, you are batshit crazy. You've completely lost your mind. You are a conspiracy theorist. Take off your tinfoil hat. You are a lunatic. You don't know what you're talking about. This is not true. You've just gone crazy. And these things happen to people. And for a good number of people, this is a frightening moment. And they go, I'm losing my friends. I'm losing my family. I can't go down this path. Maybe I am crazy. Maybe I am mentally ill. Maybe I see things that are not there. But let us assure you, we can't tell you that everything that you figure out is factual, but we can tell you in a bigger scheme of things that when you begin to awaken to the true nature of our human systems, you are, for the first time, beginning to see clearly. And it is not so much about the little detailed facts. It's about understanding the big picture. And you begin to realize, you begin to feel it, you begin to develop an intuition where you can tell this is real, this isn't real, this is fake, this is, I can tell you that whatever authenticity, whatever truth, whatever reality there was left in the media world, it is now completely gone. It is completely gone. It used to be where you could at least get a portion of it, is now completely removed. That is a completely artificial information world that doesn't really reflect anything that's in a natural world. But what's really more important is, how do you not just get the courage, but how do you keep that courage in this process of awakening and creating a new life for yourself? Because once you understand things, once you realize things, whether that's about yourself, you personally, or whether that's about how the world works, you can't go back. It will make you physically ill. Your body, as long as it's in a state of deception, it can function. But once your body and your mind are awakened, they cannot go back to a state of deception. They will literally become physically ill very, very quick. You will feel it. You will become fatigued. You will become depressed. Your body will show signs. You will develop an illness. That's what happens when you go against this inner knowing. But the beautiful side of this is, and this is what we want you to know, because this has been our experience. We have gone through all the stages. At one point, we literally probably had no friends, and most of our family did not speak to us or thought we were completely crazy. Now, over time, what happened was we created new friendships, or some of the old friends had their own time of awakening and returned into our lives. Some of our family members had their own journey of awakening and returned, and some did not. And we are completely rediscovering these relationships, and we're loving every bit and every little detail of it. And another part is that if you try to maintain relationships that are obviously over because the discrepancy is so big, you will find yourself being inauthentic. You will find yourself holding back. You will find yourself making yourself smaller than you are, because that's another thing. Once you leave the matrix, and I'll talk about what that means to leave it. Once you leave the matrix, you become so much bigger. The matrix version of you is small. It can only be small because this whole system is built around smallness, small people, small minds, small ideas. Once you leave that, you are free to become as grand and big and as a wonderful creator as you really are. And so you outgrow your old self, by a long shot, And so then when you go back and try to, to maintain these old relationships, it doesn't work anymore, because something that is out of the matrix cannot really connect to something that's in the matrix. And when we say out and inside of the matrix, that is a perspective, a state of being. It isn't necessarily a physical thing, because we can wander, and we would say that probably, the downtown area of a big metropolitan area, a big city, is the closest thing to seeing all the visual aspects of the matrix, because everything is artificial in that field. Everything. There's little nature, very little nature. Everything is artificial. Everything is electronic. Everything is electronic, is artificial lighting. It's artificial screens, everything. So you are literally in this field that's the hardcore matrix. But we can still stroll down a downtown road and just be in it, but not be in it. Because we realize we're not taking this as reality. We're just observing what this created artificial field is. So it doesn't mean that you have to physically remove yourself from the world completely and live in a jungle. Not at all. It means that you are beginning to realize that these things aren't what they pretend to be, that these systems aren't what they seem to be, and that mostly everything is turned upside down. Everything that appears to have one meaning really has the opposite meaning. That's mostly what happens in the matrix. So if you remove yourself, you become automatically a more authentic version of you, and then you begin to rediscover your real true properties, your real true qualities, your talents, who you really are, your purpose, your dreams, your wishes, everything, all of that. And a wonderful way to unplug immediately, that's always the best way, is to go into meditation, because you literally shut off all the senses, everything and anything. And you go within, and this is real. This is the realest space you'll ever be in. This is the eternal space. Once you go within, you connect with the grand field, the big papa, the big mama, the big everything. And once you're connected to that field, that is real. It doesn't get any realer than that, because that is eternal. It's that which never changes. And this has been kind of the question of the ages. What is real? Real is that which never changes. This field, as much as it is expanding, but in its form, in what it is, it doesn't change. It doesn't change. And that's what is real. And then you bring that power, that authenticity. And this is what we have been doing, is we bring that authenticity to the outskirts of the matrix, and more people begin to feel that, and they begin to join you. This is what's going to happen. And so that's why we say, when you leave the matrix, it is literally like moving to the other side of the world, almost, because you really, when you're truthful with yourself, you'll leave behind almost everything that was your old life, because it doesn't apply anymore, because you cannot unsee things anymore. I'll give you another example. If you look at the entertainment industry, you believe, and we're all being brought up in the belief, well, this is there so we can be entertained and enjoy music and enjoy movies. And there's nothing more to it. You go there, you listen to it, you watch it, and you like it or you don't. And there's different genres, and that's it. It's nothing like that. The entertainment industry, looking from the top down, has a completely different purpose. It isn't about entertaining you. It's about indoctrinating you with ideas when you are in a relaxed state and not offering any resistance. Because when you're at the movies watching a film, you are not turning on the filters and questioning whether that's real or not, whether that's true or not. You're just allowing yourself to be entertained. You are entering the tamement. You're being tamed. And so this comes at you. You're letting it sink in, and your mind cannot differentiate whether that's reality or not, whether that's truthful or authentic or not. So these systems were all built for distraction and indoctrination. I know this sounds like I'm a tinfoil hat conspiracy lunatic. And in the matrix, I'm a tinfoil hat conspiracy lunatic. But once you step out, you'll see there's a lot of truth to what we're talking about here. There's a lot of authenticity. Do we have to be fearful? No, because we're like a gazillion times more powerful than that, but we have to realize it. And you cannot be plugged into the system every day and participate in it, believe everything, not question anything, and discover your true authentic power. It doesn't work that way. You have to unplug yourself. You have to have the guts. You have to be courageous. You have to be brave. You have to be a brave, peaceful warrior. Step out of it and really dive into the depths of who you are. And that cannot happen while you're plugged in, while you're being bombarded with messages, while you're being constantly beamed at. And this is what happens when you leave the matrix. And it does exist. It's you can literally compare it to a computer program, and maybe it is a computer program. Maybe it is a digital simulation. We at this point, we don't know. It would be possible. I'll give you another good example, which another movie that kind of reflects on that idea, and that's The Truman Show. Jim Carrey, in a completely different way, reflects on that idea. But if you watch it till the end and see what happens at the very end. It's the beginning of the end of the matrix, of this artificial reality, and it literally opens the door to something new. We encourage you, and I know a lot of you are either on the verge, have already left, or are thinking about it. Most of you who come into this tribe, you have realized that there is something very, very weird about the nature of our society. It doesn't add up. It doesn't make sense, not if you actually spend some time thinking about it. And you have discovered that if you quit believing what you have been told about yourself, namely that you're small and that you are very limited in your abilities. You're not very capable. When you quit believing that and start believing that you actually have unlimited potential, more of that begins to show up in your life. And that only happens when you unplug. And you will see this. It's interesting. I'm so excited to see that happen, even with big names within this system. I just watched a very interesting little clip by Tony Robbins, who has profited greatly in this system. Of course, had a very broad perspective on it always. Very smart guy, very wise guy. Look him up. Has taught presidents, has coached presidents and CEOs and actors and people from all walks of life, coached them how to be their best self and how to be successful and how to be just the best version of themselves they could be. But even someone like Tony has taken a step out of this matrix and is now looking at it from the outside in, and has been for the past years sharing some of that wisdom and knowledge that he has gained from outside of it, which is actually which is actually almost contrary to what he's been doing all his life. But this is the powerful moment that we live in. So I want you to know you are not alone. You will find yourself when you become really sharp, because once you step out, once you rediscover that you become so sharp and you can see things for what they are, it is almost like someone is pulling away the filters from your eyes and everything is beginning to show itself the way it really is. And this can be disturbing. This can be this can be confusing. This can make you uneasy, and you begin to question yourself. But this is when you start tapping into your real power. And that phase is fairly short, because as soon as you walk through that, because you're not just seeing things for what they are, you're seeing yourself for who you really are. And that's where the power comes in. And you can see, and I can tell you this, if you today begin to understand that you are a real powerful healer, and that time really does not exist outside of this matrix, you can then begin to believe that something that within the human understanding, within the system, would take a year or 2 years to heal in your body, you can heal overnight. You can heal instantaneously. We've seen things like tumors the size of a soccer ball. We've seen this in people shrink to the size of a peach and then disappear within weeks. Weeks. No radiation, no chemo, no nothing. Here, power. But this is what happens when you leave. When you leave, this is what happens when you allow yourself to leave. This is what happens when you tap into the real field and remove yourself from the fake field. And then when you gain that true understanding, that power, that authenticity, that inspiration, you can make a choice. You can either stay completely out of it, and that's a valid decision. A lot of people are going, they're living out in nature. They're going off the grid. They're just immersed in the natural field. A wonderful thing. Like it's a dream in my heart, and it's a vision in my mind, and it's something that we are creating. And at the same time, we are drawn and inspired to bring this authenticity into the matrix, to bring it into the system, to live it within it and show others the authenticity and inspire them just by being who we are, just by speaking our truth, just by sharing the light that we have and have discovered in us, inspire them to do the same thing. Because ultimately, we don't need this artificial field. We don't need to lie to ourselves and each other every day, all day. We don't need that. We can ultimately heal this whole thing and bring it back into the natural, authentic realm. And for the first time, maybe discover how powerful we really are individually and collectively. And this is what's happening anyways. It's happening anyways right now on this planet. And so we want to, help you find that courage within you, that it is okay if your best friend for 10 years doesn't understand you anymore. It is okay if a close family member, is basically withdrawn for a while. It is okay. Everything's going to turn out fine. Everything will work out for you. You have to trust these processes. You have to trust these processes. When what's happening is, you don't have to stay alone in the meantime. You are actually within a tribe here. You have attracted a whole new group of people, a whole new tribe of people who are with you. And whatever crazy thing you share with them, they don't think it's crazy. They're willing and open to discover that, what you have to say, and to listen to you, and to add something to it, and to create something new from it. This is happening. And it's not just the Inspired Tribe here. There's a great number of tribes out there, and we're all beginning to connect with each other that are doing the same thing in their own way. Connect with these people. You will find yourself having conversations you've never had before. You will find yourself saying things that you can't believe you just said. Because just a few weeks ago, you would have, if someone had said this next to you, would say, you're crazy. But now you're beginning to see, and once you begin to see, you cannot unsee. You cannot unsee it. This is powerful, powerful stuff. It doesn't happen overnight. And a lot of the things that you begin to develop a mental understanding for, after a while, you will have the experience, and you will then feel the truth and authenticity of that. So many times you learn something intellectually and you start to believe it, but you never had the experience. And then you go through life a little longer, weeks, months, and you finally have that experience, and boom, you can now feel, oh my God, this is so much bigger than I even anticipated. I'm so much grander. I'm so much bigger. You can actually spread your awareness way beyond the edges of the earth, way beyond the edges of the Milky Way and this solar system. You can go way beyond. You can go to the ends of the universe. And when you arrive there, you will expand it. There's never an end to this. This is what happens when you leave the matrix. What I can tell you is there's no real description. There's no real manual. There's no roadmap. There is no, because as soon as you arrive at a conclusion, you realize there is no conclusion. There is another layer and another layer and another layer and another layer. This is what happens. So your life, if it was semi-interesting until now, it will become the grandest, most adventurous, most exciting roller coaster ride, and it will never end. It will always continue. The pace is up to you. You can rest a little in between, but it is so, so beautiful, so, so expansive, so, so powerful. So we encourage you to leave this matrix, to explore what is out there, to explore your true self, and to know that there is a wonderful tribe of beings all around you, all across the planet, who you can connect with. And you will say something to someone that you believe no one has ever said before, and they said, oh yeah, I just experienced this last Tuesday. It was amazing. I just had this meditation last Tuesday. I was literally on Mars. Things are not as they seem. They're so much better, bigger, grander, more amazing. And you'll see it when you leave the matrix. Let me go through the comments a little bit here. Welcome.
So many new people. That's so exciting.
Oh, that is exciting. I want to say the founding members of the Inspired Tribe are such wonderful beings who have been with us from the very beginning. Black Sky, one of the founding members here. Emma, of course. Illy is a founding member. Angie is a founding member. And then we have these wonderful new members. Sandra and Maria is here from Sweden. Agnieszka is here. She's also a founding member from Scotland. We have Claire here from Quebec, from Canada. We have Craig here from Sydney, Australia. I think we're beginning to cover all continents. This is amazing, guys. We have Rohit here, another founding member from India. We have Elaine here from Canterbury, UK. Lindsay is here. She's been with us for a while. Claire just said that. Let me see who else is here. Welcome, 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 everyone. Angie, of course, another Inspired Tribe founding member. Angie is she's left the matrix. My God, she's left the matrix. She jumped out of it, and she continues to jump. Then we have, how do you say, is that Candicia Powell from the UK, London. I hope I'm getting this right. Then, of course, we have Jeanette here. Welcome. Margaret here. Welcome. So I'm just going through. I can't go through all the questions or all the comments right now. I just want to say thank you so much for sharing, for being here. The way the Inspired Tribe works is as soon as you tune in, you're just a member. That's just how it happens. Everyone's welcome, no matter where you come from, what you believe, what you look like. All those things don't matter to us. We love you unconditionally for who you are, and you're welcome here. This is an open space. So also we wanted to let you know that there are a number of ways to connect with each other. Use YouTube and use Facebook for now. We're moving to different platforms as well. Connect, exchange, talk, share. This is already happening to some extent. People are doing this on Telegram. I think we have also a channel on Telegram, the Inspired channel on Telegram. People are connecting there. Do that. Also, please do, there's a pinned comment up there. Please join our email list. We haven't been sending out much just because we don't want to be, kind of clogging up your inbox. We're going to send stuff out when it's important, but please do it. You'll get a free process, the Inspired Freedom Launcher, which is a powerful, powerful process that Kristin and I have recorded for you. Please do it because it's amazing. And the other benefit is you'll be on the email list. So when we have news, when we do something different, when we have something to announce, you'll be the first one to know it. And if anything happens to these platforms, we have a way of talking to each other. And other than that, we're beginning our next Inspired One Empower Yourself course. Starting with a boom and with a bang in a couple of weeks. So please, if you are interested, it's a beautiful course, a beautiful journey over a number of weeks. We meet every week, once a week. Powerful. A lot of our founding members in Inspired Tribe have done it last year. Really, really, really amazing journeys. And it's part of the 3-course series. Now, of course, you don't have to do all the courses, but they build on each other. Very, very powerful. And it's all about finding that authentic place that is within you, living that, and beginning to transform your life according to your true authentic desires, talents, wishes, purpose, all of those things. Send us an email or look it up on our website, inspiredchannel.net. We have membership calls every Wednesday night. This is also a powerful, powerful thing that we just had a great one, wonderful one last night. And just browse a little, check out our website, whatever inspires you. We have, I think, way over 200 videos on our YouTube channel from different teachers, live streams that we do 3 days a week, not 3 times a day. And we just love, love, love connecting with you guys, feeling and seeing and hearing what you have to say, what you have to share. It's powerful. And this has been a tremendous 40 minutes or so. Very, very grand energy. And I want you to know that this is not a one-way street. We realize we're not just beaming this one way. This is a collective creation. You bring your attention, you bring your intention, you bring your energy. This is what creates this space. And we want to thank you for that. And just let you know that we appreciate you and that we love that you're tuning in from all over the globe and maybe even from other places. Who knows? Tribe, thank you so much. We'll see you again on Monday.
Practice clients.
Yes. Also, thank you. My wonderful wife reminded me that we have started last weekend the ICA, the Inspired Coaching Academy, which means that we have a wonderful crew of people who are becoming coaches over the course of this year. And all of them are right now working with practice clients to practice certain techniques and things. And so this is kind of just an open invitation. If any of you coaches want to connect with others in the tribe, feel free to do it here. Feel free to do it on Facebook if you join our groups. And if any of you want to experience some of the things that these new coaches are learning, you can connect with them and become a practice client. It's a really powerful experience, and there's really no requirements for that on your part other than being willing to do it. That said, I think we're through.
You did good.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. See, some people have a teleprompter. I have something way better. I have my wife. She's so much wiser and smarter and more spontaneous than a teleprompter. We wish you an inspired, wonderful, amazing, expansive, and just all over breathtaking rest of your day, rest of your week, and we'll see you Monday, 2 p.m. Central Standard here on the Inspire channel. And we look forward to it. See you soon.